Okay, everybody, back again with another card for the day. Um, Facebook was fighting me a little bit. Uh, Made it a little tough to log on. This one is the Mandarin from Iron Man, is what he's best known from. This character's caused grief throughout the Marvel Universe over the years, without question. So, gonna knock this out quick and clean today. Very simple. Yeah, that Juggernaut piece, I'm working on it right now. I have it inked about halfway through, and I had to knock out some pages. I got asked about it earlier. I had to knock out a couple of pencil pages that I had to do for a project that I'm about to launch, and had to knock that out. But it's on the path to being done. We're just about going to move into the coloring stage of it and get it done from there. And going to knock out his suit right here. I've got this cityscape and the ancient China landscape back there. I just knocked it out really simple, and the reason I went that way is because I want to show this side of him in the robes and the other side in the modern businessman type persona that he's got going on right now in the comics. So I decided to go that route and knock it out that way. And I hope that comes across. And the final. Now I'm going to do something very cool with these. Got a big surprise coming up for the fans of these cards fairly soon. It's going to be a big deal. You'll be able to get a hold of some of the original commissions, as well as, and they'll turn into commissions when you guys purchase them if you want to buy your favorite card, as it were. But no sales pitch type of thing here right now. I'm just saying I'm going to be putting them together in a collection, and I'm going to make them available for everybody, because I know that there's a bunch of people that watch me every day, and I so appreciate that beyond belief. And I know that you guys are interested in the cards, and I've been promising people that I would put them up and let you guys get access to your favorite ones. So they're going to be one of a kind. They're going to be hard to get a hold of. I don't make prints or anything like that, so it's going to be an exclusive one-time type of deal where you're going to be able to get this one time, and then that's going to be it for the original card. Now, if you want to get something done for yourself afterward, if you're not able to get your favorite one, I will be able to do that. But like I said, it's not a sales pitch kind of thing. I'm just saying, because people have been asking for them so much, I am going to make them available, at least in some extent. So I appreciate the fan support, and you guys are just awesome with this stuff. That's not what I originally did the cards for, but there's been such a fan base for it. I want to make it available for you guys to be able to get your favorite one. Hopefully you'll be able to do that. It will be first come first serve on those. I do have a way of doing it to where it's going to be fair, and everybody will have an equal opportunity to grab them. But that's enough about that right now. I want to get this card going and stay focused on it for you. My favorite experience with the Mandarin had to be when he conjured up Fin Fang Foom. And it wasn't the original run, of course. I mean, I love that run, but it wasn't the original. I'm a little young for that one. But what I do remember of it is that it was a mini-series arc, and I think Bob Layton was on it. it was the Fin Fang Foom saga that was crossing over. It might have been one of the Mandarin titled sagas at the time. I don't remember the issue offhand, but I remember him conjuring up, actually doing the conjuring over a cauldron when he put on the last ring and called out Fin Fang Foom through time and woke him up. And he struck out on New York, which was very cool. So, I remember the Mandarin from that run being the first one that I have a memory of this guy. And he was in the traditional green and yellow suit, just like everybody knows him, from the comics for. And it was the one from the 80s pre-card set of the 1990s. Marvel put out a card set, a trading card set in 1990 that put out tons of these characters, and they changed all of them for modern looks with a lot of the cards. And then Jim Lee came in, and a couple of the other guys came on in the 90s, the early 90s, and changed everything up. And Marvel was trying to ride that bubble, as it were, to get as much money as possible out of the characters and modernize them to hang on to the fans that they just acquired. DC did the same thing a year prior. What provoked that was DC was trying to revamp themselves, and in '89 they created a card set and came out with it, and then instantly Marvel picked up on it and came out with another one right after with their first card set. So, I mean, it was a big deal at the time, and I have all of those cards. Matter of fact, I don't know if there's still any value to them or not. There's sentimental value to them, definitely, because they were great characters, and there was a series of new Marvel characters in them called the New Marvel Heroes and the New Marvel Villains, that kind of thing. And it showed rookie cards, basically, because baseball cards had made a huge kickback in 1990 through 93 was when that bubble boomed again. After it died off in, I believe, 88 till about mid 1989, and then a couple of other companies came out, Upper Deck, Fleer, a couple of those guys came out, and that's when all the cards just boomed back out, because they were doing them so differently and so high end in comparison to what Topps was doing at the time, which was still the old cardboard simple print. And what Fleer was doing was a high image, high gloss card. And a lot of those companies switched over at that time because it started the craze, and everything was booming in sports. With Nolan Ryan at the mound about to retire out of the Texas Rangers, you had all of the '90s football teams in charge, just tearing it up. And then the basketball leagues, of course, had the NBA. Definitely had Jordan and Kobe and Pippen and all those guys right around in there. And it was just tearing it up across the board. It was a great time for sports collectibles, as well as comic entertainment and pop culture. So, that's where that boom came from. And there's a lot of people that still have those cards and still trade them daily. And, some of them you can't get anymore because they just don't make them at that level. And it's always interesting to see what's going to happen out of the next wave coming up. Because I've seen comics making a shift, and I wholeheartedly think that print will never go away unless the trees stop or printing is outlawed in some form or fashion, or unless it gets just too expensive to do it. That could happen as well. But for the most part, though, I've seen this huge digital shift, and the stats are showing up really crazy that comics are coming out in digital form, and due to people wanting to cut down on paper and space consumption in their homes, everything's taking a digital edge because this stuff's also very portable this way. And I'm a huge fan of print. I'm a huge supporter. I love holding a comic in my hand, being able to read it. But can I carry all my favorite titles around with me in my backpack or my bag and protect them and have them at hand? Of course not. And that's what part of the cool part of that is. That's what's so enticing about it. And you can carry, just unbelievable amounts of data these days in your phone and have access to it right there and just be done. And, with modern entertainment of streaming and things, everything's making a shift. A lot of books are that way too. Amazon just came out with a quarterly report saying that everything is booming and that their digital books are actually outselling their print books now. That's pretty freaky. That says a lot. So there's something to think about with this kind of stuff, and that's just a side tangent for you guys, but think about that when you're making your comics, because the digital age is coming on to where it's getting consumer friendly, and there's a lot of missed opportunity if you isolate yourself from it. So be sure not to do that. But as far as this goes, back to the experience of this guy, yeah, I enjoyed the Finn series, and where he even crossed over in one story that it's one of my favorites. I was just shocked by, where the Abomination came up under his control as well. And he was trying to use the rings to control Marvel's biggest monsters at the time, if you can call them that, the biggest monsters in the Marvel Universe, to overtake everybody and everything. And I found that really, really cool. You guys can look into that and check out the stories and stuff that are out there for specifics. But, this guy he's crazy. If this character was to live and breathe, this guy would definitely be a Charles Manson type of personality. He's more of a manipulator than he actually is a fighter, than anything else. But putting on that tuft of hair right there on the top, because if you guys see this right here, I'm not going to draw in his horns and all that, but if you guys see this, I'm going to put an abstract version of Finn right back here, right behind the building here. I just wanted you guys to know that. This character is one of those that you definitely want to read. If you're looking for an awesome villain that is more thought-provoking rather than a physical confrontation, unless he has the rings, then he'll definitely go toe-to-toe because he has the power blast and whatnot. But for the most part, this guy's more of a strategist rather than anything else. Drawing this side of that ear there. Because these are his ears. These are big finned ears. They're not necessarily wing-style fins. I'm making him more confident and cocky rather than putting in the tyrannical look. I didn't want to crunch down the brow too much. I want him to look more like he's trying to conceal himself, and it's showing, his true colors coming through from one side to the other. There's the tie and the suit. The collar goes down here on the more ornamental robe right there. It cuts off. This is the suit collar over here for the shirt, and the collar there. You got the lapel. And I always like to make these rings. When I drew the rings, I wanted them to look handmade. That's the reason they look a little flatter than anything else, and the lines aren't perfectly straight. The reason for that is because they were supposed to be hand forged. So that was a huge thing for me to see go down that way. Matter of fact, I didn't add the one on the thumb. Shame on me. That was my bad completely because I did not outline it from the beginning when I laid it out. Therefore, the thumb knuckle ring was not in there. So we'll put that in right now. Ta-da! The day is saved. It's amazing. But, there we go. Now I'm going to kind of soup this out a little bit. I'm not really going to go with any specific characters or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of put some symbolic stuff on here. And make it a pattern kind of thing. And then leave it alone. Okay. Now we'll call it camo action. Mandarin. Jeez. So. Okay. Now I got that shoulder pad marked. And there's the collar on the neck. I'm going to put a little shadow under that as well to pop it off just a little bit because it does fold out. And I'm going to blacken out this goatee here. I've noticed it's been a popular fad here lately when anybody has a black facial hair or raven hair type of mustache or even the hair on their head. It's been more of an animation type of influence to just black it out and not highlight it at all anymore, which I've done all along, so that helps me a lot. My style follows that suit, so I don't have to worry about that as much. Now that I say that, though, every editor that ever sees these, and I know they do, they'll come at me. You know, you need to highlight your hair. Yeah. Now my foot hurts because I think I just shot myself. So, knocking that out. And I tried not to go with too heavily patterned Asian influences. I know this guy is supposed to be an ancient Chinese warlord, but I don't like to do that because he never looks that way in the comics. I always go with what I see him as, which is a mixed influence in my mind. I like to do that type of take on him. Nothing wrong with him being, you know, of Asian descent, but I just want to follow suit with the character looking like he does in the comics. That's what I'm after there. Because I've seen some incarnations of him where he really, really goes that way. And then you see other incarnations of him where he looks, you know, just like Tony Stark in some ways. And then more like this, where he's more generic. You know, as I was laying him out here, I wish I'd have thought of that topic more in depth. I'm going to have to do some case studies on that in my artwork because I want him to look like where he descends from, and I just don't. I don't agree with that now. I would like to do a couple of sketch studies on that and see how I can influence it and make him look more of where he originally comes from. I like that idea. And that's part of my process. You know, I work through this stuff in my head as I draw things, and if I notice something I don't like, I change it on the fly and make a case study out of it and draw it up a couple of hundred times and go from there. And I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. Because he does look a little Caucasian now that I think about it. I mean, I know he does, especially in the modern version from the Marvel Now look. He definitely does. But I'll have to work on that. I like that idea of pushing that envelope. So, bear with me here. I've got stuff popping up that I've got to get out of the way. There we go. I've got my alerts set that pop up windows and stuff all over my machine whenever I have them come up, and that's just one of those things. I had private messages going everywhere. But I'm going to detail out this crown just a little bit. Now I'm going to leave this very simple and just, like I said, kind of flesh it out a little bit, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go right in here. It's going to be the classic green, black, and yellow. I'm going to put a yellow stripe right here, and I'll put green over here. But I'm going to block that out with a little shadow right here. Because this thing is very heavily stacked in a like an emerald green kind of look here. I'm gonna have to watch out explaining these things and talking while I'm drawing. I space out a little bit once in a while and hesitate because I want to say the right thing and not sound goofy, and then I end up sounding like Todd McFarlane because of the fact that I hesitate on what I say. And not that he sounds goofy, it's just I noticed I sound like him a little bit. Now I understand why he sounds that way when he draws. It's because of the fact he's trying to think of the next thing to say. But I find that interesting. There we go. Want that to look a little metallic today, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop in here. Put a little highlight back there, and that'll be that. Now right here on this edge, I'm not going to double line that completely. What I want to do here is add a little of this, so it looks like there's a frame underneath. So it looks like it's a crown, like it's supported. And then I'll put this right here, because this is not going to be shiny. This is going to be like felt covered, kind of something like that. Now this little lip right here is the thing that goes across his head right under the bottom of the crown here, and I'm going to put that like this, like it's shadowed metal, as it were. And I'm going to give the Mandarin's got a little ancient age on him. He looks a little more distinguished, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of a edge right there. Not necessarily hardcore crow's feet. Maybe happy hoppers, as my daughter calls them. So she got that idea from a sparrow when she was a kid. When she was little. Was jumping around. A relative was complaining about crow's feet and how they were more prominent at the time, so out of the mouths of babes, right? Alright, I'm going to cut in this top lip just a little bit more so we can see that. And this dude's popping off really, really quick. Very pleased with this. Now, because of the way this is going with the goatee, I'm not going to cut that out. What I will do is I'll shade it this way. I'm not big on shading with lines like that, but because of the way he's shaded there, with the goatee being black, I will go ahead and cut it that way so we can still see that. Now the neck shade's there like it's supposed to be. I'm not going to monkey with the fist too much. I don't want to mess it up. Just going to gradually get some of these lines in here. Let's see, that one goes this way. And that'll be good for a close-up. Now I'll put in some of the markings on this ring here, like this, just to pop it up a little bit. Show a little depth to it. Gonna shade up this finger here. And then I think we'll call it a day because I don't want to mess this up too much. I think I will black out that suit though on the other side, just to show the dynamic of it. A lot of people get interested in that and pick at that right there because I put that fabric cut right there, that little reflection, and that's normally done for metal. But I've seen it used in recent years. Mark Bagley used to use it a lot in Spider-Man back in the 90s, and in his Ultimate Spider-Man later in the early 2000s. He used to tag it off like that to make it pop up and give the fabric just a little bit of an edge, which I'm cool with because it does actually look decent. It doesn't look like it's metal, in my opinion anyway, and I don't mind that. Okay, got to draw the back of the ear here. Mandarin's got a heavy earlobe. Very heavy earlobe. There we go. Now I'm going to do this like a yellow or a green kind of thing and mix it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go in here with some blacks across this. I'll go ahead and shade that out a little bit. But like I said, I don't want to do too much more because I want to leave it open for the, I want to leave it open for the coloring. For the contrast of that. So, a little bit of a light gap right there. A little bit under that sleeve. And then, of course, now I'll block this one out. Move up here to the larger lid. Gotta get a smooth side on it. That's a brand new lid on there that I put in this morning after doing some of my pencil work for pages, and that lid is really dark. Okay, gotta even this out. And so this stands off in a little bit of contrast. What I'm going to do is drop a little black spot right there. Shade that in. And a little woodwork there. Add a ledge so that it looks like it pops off a little bit, brings it out. And I think we are just about done. Okay. Oh, one more thing. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll go in, put a couple of floors in here. like that. And I'll break that line off so that it looks like it goes down in here into this little bit of a abyss type of thing. Okay. Add a couple of windows in here, make this pop up a little bit. Put one right there. And right there. And we are going to call it a day. I don't want to monkey with that too much more. I believe we have the Mandarin. So, okay. I'm going to answer Matt's question now. What did you think of the Mandarin from the Iron Man Armored Adventures cartoon? I actually liked him. I've loved all of the animated versions of the series, especially in the last Iron Man cartoon series. I really, really dug him in that and thought it was a great version. The Armored Adventures, it's... I assume you're talking about the Armored Adventures, the movie, the movie, right? Not the other, not the Japanese style Iron Man Armored Adventures series, right? Yeah, I'm going to assume that's the one you're talking about because I haven't seen him in the Japanese version yet. I just started binge watching those. I've got both volumes on DVD, and I'm loving them so far. They're my favorite out of the series so far. But the Mandarin in the Armored Adventure series, I really, really dug that guy. Yeah, you're talking about the Nickelodeon series. Yeah, that's the American version. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was a great series, man. I really dug it, and I actually liked him in that. But like I said, I haven't found one that's an animated version I didn't like. I even liked the one that crossed over into the Spider-Man animated series back in the late 90s. I liked that one. Everybody thought it was too cartoony and he was too tongue-in-cheek, and I thought it was really, really cool. They had some crossover stuff where the Hulk, that Iron Man series that I was talking about from the late 90s, early 2000s, and the Amazing Spider-Man animated series, I was just all about that stuff. The Mandarin was a great villain in that. I think he's underutilized and underestimated, but has huge potential to come back. After the film version from the Iron Man series, I'm not so sure about that one. But yeah, to answer your question specifically, yeah, that version from the Armored Adventures, I really dug it. I thought it was a great incarnation. I had no problem with it at all. I thought they'd done a great job with the animation stuff. But because they stick more to the comic books rather than the films do, the films are a standalone universe by Disney's incarnation of Marvel, as we've talked about numerous times. So that's where that's at. I hope that answered your question, man. But yeah, that's it for me today. I'm going to get back on this because I want to get over to this Juggernaut and finish him up so I can ink this guy tonight and get him colored and posted up soon for you guys. Hang tight with me. Tomorrow I have, who do I have? Pyro from the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So I'm going to be working on him tomorrow. And who do I have for Sunday? Let's see. I've forgotten offhand. I have Pyro and then Blob on Sunday. Yeah. And you guys are going to want to watch this week because I've got a couple of extra cards coming up, that the extra cool cards that are coming up. Sabretooth is going to be in the mix this week, and I'm thinking about doing a double header and changing it up a little bit and doing a Sabretooth Wolverine pair just to bring him into the mix so I can get a better action shot out of it. But we'll see. We'll see what I got up the sleeve for you guys. But as for this one, we're done, so see you tomorrow. Take care.